It is this magic moment here on 1010XL Magic, our post-game reaction show. RJ Saunders here with you. We are so glad that you guys are here with us once again. The Magic do drop their third game in a row, this time at the hands of Donovan Mitchell and the Cleveland Cavaliers by a final score of 119-105. Mitchell would finish the contest with 36 points, 17 of which would come in the fourth and final quarter. Paolo Banchero did have something to say about that, having a solid performance of his own, finishing with 27 points for the ball club. This was a game yet again for the Orlando Magic in which they struggled to knock down the long ball. They finished the contest shooting 27% from outside. However, in the post-game press conferences, Desmond Bane, Jalen Suggs, and head coach Jamal Mosley felt the looks in which they got were more than decent looks. They just weren't able to cash in on said looks. This is Desmond Bane post-game talking about that subject.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's been our struggle as of late, just how we're going to manufacture good looks and good possessions time after time. For the most part, I thought that we played a good brand of basketball, got some open shots throughout the meat of the game, and, shots just didn't fall. But, we, especially down the stretch, we got to find ways to generate good looks for us.
Defensively in the contest, felt that there was much better effort from the Orlando Magic after the post-game press conference from Jamal Mosley just a couple of nights ago after the loss of the Charlotte Hornets, really challenging his team to do better defensively and not let the offense dictate what they do defensively. I did feel that there was a much better effort given on that side of the floor. However, you played well for 3.5 quarters. In the fourth quarter, you weren't able to seal the deal. You were trying to make that comeback effort. Much of it was led by Paolo Banchero, but it really became a back and forth affair. When Orlando scored, you also saw Donovan Mitchell and the Cleveland Cavaliers get buckets of their own. You wanted to be able to limit the Cavaliers to one possession, but those offensive rebounds did prove to become costly for the Magic. You saw guys such as Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell got an offensive rebound and was able to dish it off to Jarrett Allen for a big-time slam, and that was kind of the name of the game there in that fourth and final period. Also, three-point shots were being knocked down by the Cleveland Cavaliers, who shot very well from beyond the arc. You saw Dean Wade come up with a very timely three-point shot in the corner in that final period. Lonzo Ball got a couple of threes himself, and Donovan Mitchell was certainly doing Donovan Mitchell things in clutch time for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that proved to be one of the big reasons in which you could not walk away with a victory and knock off a 2-game slide. Now that turns into 3, and you're looking to now turn this around. Jalen Suggs, a piece of good news there, was active in the contest against Cleveland. 9 points and 6 assists would be his final stat line. He did play very well, knocked down the first shot for the young guns in the contest, was really able to get the crowd into it, and I feel like his return really put a lot of guys in advantageous situations, albeit he was on a minutes restriction. You were able to see a lot of 1-4 pick and rolls between him and Paolo Banchero. You also saw Desmond Bane, a guy who's had the ball in his hands a lot because of the injuries in which we have seen to Jalen Suggs. He was able to be used a lot more off ball. Jalen Suggs really did appreciate being back on the floor and being able to help his team. He did hate the fact that the team was not able to secure a victory, but this is Jalen Suggs post-game talking about his return, how he felt, and what he looks to do moving forward for the Magic.
It felt great playing basketball again. It felt great to make plays, hear the crowd, just do all that in real time, have that experience again. So it was love. Don't like losing, but again, sometimes you can't control that. So, I felt good playing out there. I felt good to be back with the brothers, and we'll keep working on building.
So now you have dropped 3 games in a row. Now you have to try to put this one in the past, focus on the next game, which ironically is now going to be going against the Cleveland Cavaliers as you now take the journey to Northeast Ohio. after a team has now beaten you in your arena, you're looking to get just a bit of get back. And I do believe that there are a couple of keys to victory for the Magic if they want to stop this 3-game losing streak. Number one, I do believe that you're going to have faster starts, especially in that first quarter. This has been a team that I've looked at over the last 4 games since that Berlin trip. You have been starting rather slow in that first quarter. When you look at the game in Berlin, started out with 23 points in that quarter, was able to come back and win that contest. However, you scored 23 points again in the game in London, wasn't able to come back in that game, absolutely get routed by Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. You come back home after a couple of days of rest, you only scored 20 points against LaMelo Ball and the Charlotte Hornets, a game in which you were routed yet again. Now, you did have 23 points in the contest against Cleveland. We're only down 2 after the first quarter. However, I do believe that you have to get off to much faster starts. If you're Orlando here, I think you have a great opportunity to do that on Monday. Number 2, I do believe that you have to continue your aggressiveness, especially on the offensive side of the basketball. Orlando got to the line 32 times against Cleveland, shot very well from the charity stripe, knocking down 28. But what was interesting in that game when it comes to their aggressiveness, Paolo Banchero yet again was not getting the foul calls in which you would feel he should have gotten because of his aggressiveness. Because of that fact, we did see Jamal Mosley defending Paolo Banchero, ends up getting a technical foul. I also believe that was trying to put a fire under the team. But when you look at Paolo Banchero, his final stat line in terms of going to the line, he did go there 12 times. He did knock down 10. However, I do believe when you look at how aggressive he was on the offensive side of the floor, he could have went to the line maybe 15, 16, 17 times. The refs weren't giving him those calls. But as a team, going to the line 32 times, if you continue to be aggressive, I do think we can see an uptick in you going to the charity stripe on Monday against Cleveland. Finally, you're going to have to knock down those 3-point shots. And I know that's asking a lot from this team who's in the bottom half of the NBA when it comes to 3-pointers made. But if you do believe that you got decent looks, which is something that Desmond Bane, Jalen Suggs, and Coach Jamal Mosley said, they were getting decent looks, they just weren't able to cash in, then you have to be able to take, in me taking a line from Jamal Mosley, you have to be able to now trust your process and ultimately believe that those shots are going to fall, and hopefully they do start to fall on Monday against Cleveland. Now, we've heard from a lot of you guys, you're saying that you're not ready to hit the panic button just yet, and I'm not willing to give up on this team, and because you guys have told me not to hit the panic button, I won't. But Jamal Mosley did talk about this being a process. This is going to be a team that is possibly going to have to be looking at. Let's see how we finish out these last few games before the All-Star break. We're going to have to look to get healthy, get Franz back, get Jalen Suggs off of the minutes restriction, see what we can do at the trading deadline, and see what other changes need to be made here. And let's see what we can do the second half of the season, because this is a team that is much better than their record would indicate. They're just not playing like it right now. I was able to ask Jamal Mosley, understanding the frustrations that the team is having right now, how much is patience being talked about in that locker room with everything being in front of them and having about 35 plus more games left in the regular season to figure all of this out?
Understandably, there has been frustrations defensively and offensively, like with this team. However, from a coaching staff perspective and also just a team as a whole, how much is patience being talked about, with this team that, hey, listen, once we get to the All-Star break, we have a few more games here, let's finish out strong. But once we get to the All-Star break, everything's in front of us, let's put it all on the table.
I think that's when you talk about the process of doing things the right way. If you're not getting the looks that you want, then that's something to be said. But we're getting the looks that you want, and we've got to be able to continue to step in with confidence and knock them down. So that's the process piece of it. Defensively, did we improve in areas tonight? That's what we got to look at. That's piece by piece, step by step. We got to keep looking at those things for this group.
that is going to do it for us here on 1010XL Magic, the post-game reaction show. We so appreciate you guys for giving us a couple of moments. If you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. We have great things coming up for you guys. We don't want you to miss out on a thing. Intern Thomas is doing great things on our social media side as well. He'll be doing more of the same throughout the regular season, including on Friday when we're next there as the Orlando Magic go toe-to-toe against Emmanuel Quickley and the Toronto Raptors. For the aforementioned Thomas, and I'm RJ Saunders. Go Magic, and we will talk to you next week.